best chance you have.
The franchise was less known to me than it would be to most people. I hadn't read the books. I had maybe seen 2 of the Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan films, but the creators of the show had a different idea, and that was not to emulate one specific book, but to pull in a sort of compilation of lots of different Jack Ryan things into a new present-day version. This is a person who works with his brain more than he works with a gun. Some of the things I knew I didn't want to do is to make it too much emulative of like a sort of Paul Greengrass style with shaky camera work or cameras that are searching all the time and you're not quite sure where the focus of a scene is. I wanted to be a little bit more classical than that. And I also wanted the camera to feel agile when it needed to feel agile, but to feel very fixed and very established when it needed to feel that. And we chose situations that exploited depth as much as possible. And this was a thing I talked about with Dan Sackheim on The Americans, is exploiting a tableau frame, exploiting the landscape. And I always say that context and character are perfectly interrelated. Sometimes this is as simple as when you're with a character, usually a lead character or an important subsidiary character, and you stay with them an extra amount of time in a landscape or in their home, and you don't necessarily know what plot point is being forwarded at that moment. But what you do know is as you see them, whether they're at home, on the street, in a natural landscape, driving, you know that you're spending time with them. And the time you're spending with them is informing you about that character, such that when conflict or some action ensues later in the presentation, you feel more attached to the person.
They work behind the desk. They write reports.
Here's a loner. He's not in a 2-man skull. He's not in a team skull. He's rowing by himself. And so that's a habit from college. It's an early rising habit. It's an insomniac habit. What else does it tell us about him? And that's what you're doing when you're setting up a character in a long form drama, is you're trying to give everyone information without making it direct. Now on season 2, I worked with 2 additional camera persons, both of whom are excellent. One is named Arnau Valls, who's a Spaniard, and the other is Patrick Margoya, and Patrick is from Mexico.
How am I doing?
We saw where things had worked better in season 1 and where things had worked less well in season 1. We did our very best to say, let's push the envelope a little further. A lot of that was involved with a little bit less high-key lighting, dropping the lighting levels a little bit, sometimes to scary low levels. We also tried to get the camera in motion in ways that were more directly impactful for the drama. You know you're in Caracas because of a certain color palette. When you're in the jungle of Venezuela, when you're upriver in the jungle, another color palette starts to take over. It's similar, but it's got unique differences. And some of that responds to the fact that you're going to be with a lot of military men with their dark camouflage and the dark outfits and everything like that. And you're going to be in shadow and tree cover a lot. Then when you're in London, there's yet another color palette and yet another feeling, slightly cleaner, less atmosphere in the air, a slightly more desaturated palette, slightly cleaner whites, but a bit of blue in the shadow. Then when you're in DC, it's like red, white, and blue. It's much more primary color. It's a very clean look. And one of the things I really love about making the show is that you actually go places. The rooftop chase in London and jumping in the Thames River, no spoiler here, is part of that. We really did that, and it took a lot of planning, and it took a lot of cooperation, and it took a lot of work on the production and the location and the stunts, camera, grip, everything had to come together for that. Came out terrific. Well, it starts on the page. It starts on the page with the script. And the script is going to set up a series of action moments to keep the heart pounding and keep the story moving forward, but also to establish goals of character, to say, this person made a really quick decision and improvised an escape that was not foreseen. The fact that we were using real London in great light, great autumn light, real London. So there's enormous tableau shots, again, sort of landscapes that break you away for a moment and give the audience just a moment to recollect on where they are, see the London Eye in the distance, see the river. And then we wanted it to be very, very dangerous looking when Jack jumps across roof to roof, follows the guy to the edge of a crazy jump, and realizes he's lost him because you can't see into the Thames River. The guy just beat him into the Thames, and there's no way Jack's going to catch up to that. That required 3 days of shooting. It required many more days than that to plan. We were in fact planning it while we were in Colombia before we even flew to London, and then we flew to London, prepped, flew back to finish work in Colombia, flew to London, teched, did a rehearsal day where everything happened except the jump, and all of this was necessary to get it to be as seamless as possible. The Mini turned into a camera that is used for everything, for absolutely everything. And now the LF Mini, I can't see any reason for anyone to shoot anything not on the LF Mini. I really love the way it responds to light. I like the scale of I think it's like a medium format camera, not IMAX, not a large format camera. So, and it's very flexible to work with. I learned over the years how to better manipulate the color looks that I would put into these cameras. The result has been that my final color correct is as close to what I saw on set as it's ever been. I've been able on set to determine a look and a feel and look at it both with the viewfinder and an exterior monitor. And as soon as the director and everyone, even whoever looks at that monitor looks at it, they start to immediately get a filmic feel for the work you're doing. That is the advance in the use of these cameras that has been so impactful, and I'm grateful for it. It also helps me work a little faster, which is good too.